Lecture number 4. Now we are going to have a look at the different school of the philosophers. Different or rival philosophical system was promoted in the Greece. Most influential philosophers were Socrates, Epicurus, Stoics, Plato, Aristotle, and Alexander the Great. Firstly, we are learning about the life of the Socrates. He is the same philosopher whose history is mentioned on the page number 82. Here is the account of his judicial judgment and how he died. He was actually a classical Greek Athenian philosopher. He was credited as the founder of the Western philosophy. He also had a profound influence on the Western philosophy, along with his students Plato and Aristotle. At the age of 70, on day 399 BCE, he was put on trial in front of a jury of 500 male citizens. Why and what was the reason? The reason was he was accused of, or he was held accountable of, rejecting all the local gods that was the religious belief of the ancient Greece. And he was also held accountable for spreading the bad ideas among the young people of the Athens. So the judgment was that no one was allowed to discuss the case of the Socrates. Rather, what they did, this jury cast a vote against him. And according to their law, according to the system of the Athens, as we have learned, it was a democratic state. So people have had the right to vote. In order to cast a vote for the Socrates, he was found guilty by 280 to 220 votes. When the judges or the jury asked Socrates that what does Socrates suggest as his punishment, it means they allowed Socrates to choose his punishment. Socrates replied that he wanted that free meals should be distributed at public expense. It means the meals will be paid by the public. His proposed punishment angered the jury, and they went on to vote overwhelmingly for the death of the Socrates. Why did this proposed offer anger the jury? Because he knew it very well that he wanted to die. That's why he proposed such punishment which was unacceptable. Socrates therefore drank a cup of poison from which he died. This is a famous painting which depicted the death of the famous philosopher Socrates, that he is taking a cup of poison and drinking, and showing his students that he is not ashamed of his judgment. Now, we have to learn what is the actual death and the philosophy of the Socrates. The death of the Socrates. This is worth appreciating that Socrates did not want to become an exile on the practical grounds. It means that he was being offered to make a judgment for himself, but rather to choose an exile. What he did, he took the judgment in the favor of the jury. The philosophical point in his death was that intention and willingness matters. This is the actual philosophy of the Socrates, that he practically believes that what a person wills, he must do that. Socrates actually uses his death as a final lesson for his pupils rather than fleeing when the opportunity arises. one must face it calmly. He is also showing here that whenever you are going to have a stressful situation, you must go with the decision you like most. Now, the philosophy of the Socrates. He was very popular among the young male Athens. He taught them through debates usually. He talked about power of the human reasoning to solve problems rather than the intervention of the Greek gods, because he did not believe in the local gods to whom the ancient Greeks used to present their questions, like the Shang dynasty. What he believes that a man is capable of taking his own decisions. He claimed that every being is capable of making personal choices that could lead to his happiness. And what he says, the more knowledge and wisdom that someone gained, the better choices they would make. That's why he never believed in the democratic society. Socrates' views about the Athens democratic system. He claimed that the best decisions were not likely to come from the majority, as his death judgment was passed by a number of 500 male citizens. So, what he said here, that best decisions were not likely to come from the majority, rather, only a few persons of a community deserved as knowledgeable and experienced. The city of Athens liked to govern with the majority, and the story of the Socrates shows how complicated was the society of the ancient Greeks, that they did not believe in their own judgment, but they believed in the judgment of the majority. Here we are actually learning some more philosophers. Second is the Epicurus. He suggested that pleasure was best of avoiding suffering and the fear. It means pleasure is the only source which could end your suffer. Stoics, he said, that develop a strong sense of morality by strictly disciplining the body and by demonstrating personal bravery. It means a man should have a strong ethical sense, a strong morality in order to control his body, and this also defines his bravery. Plato, he was the student or the follower of the Socrates. He also disliked the democratic system. Rather, what he did, he introduced an ideal political system in which philosophers would have the authority to govern.